They tried to steal my backyard, so I turned their dream project into a legal nightmare. My name's Daniel Reed, and I live on a quiet cul-de-sac where the loudest thing used to be my old lawnmower. My place isn't fancy, one story, faded shutters, a porch swing that creaks, but it's mine. Meanwhile, our HOA acts like they're running a country club, even though half the houses were built in the 80s and still have original siding. Everything started the day I came home to orange spray-painted lines running across my backyard. I thought it was a utility check. Until the HOA president, who everyone calls Karen with a clipboard, marched over and happily announced they were approving a luxury expansion for the new treasurer. Right onto what she claimed was unused community land. Except I used that land. It was my garden, my space, and more importantly, my property. I showed her my deed. She waved it off like I was handing her a grocery receipt and slapped me with a non-compliance obstruction fee for refusing to cooperate with HOA development goals. I felt helpless, furious, completely outmatched. Then, while digging through old files in my attic, looking for anything to defend myself, I found it. A tiny, overlooked clause in the original neighborhood charter from the 1970s. It said any HOA construction project that impacted a homeowner's boundary required unanimous approval, including mine. And the HOA hadn't just skipped my signature, they never even told me about the vote. So I got to work. First, I filed an official challenge with the county, attaching scanned copies of that dusty little clause. Then I notified every neighbor whose property lines would be even slightly affected. Most of them already hated the HOA's endless fines, so they happily backed me. Next came the real kicker. Because the HOA had already hired contractors and broken ground without proper approval, the county froze their permits and opened an investigation. Within a week, construction stopped. The half-dug foundation sat there like a giant muddy scar right at the neighborhood entrance. Parents complained, prospective buyers turned away. Contractors demanded payment, and every day the HOA board had to walk past their expensive mistake, all because they ignored one homeowner they thought they couldn't fight back. At the emergency meeting, Karen finally cracked. She blamed everyone but herself while neighbors lined up to ask why their dues were being spent on a project built on land the HOA never legally owned. By the end of the night, a treasurer resigned, the mansion plan was cancelled, and Karen stepped down for health reasons. The HOA quietly refunded my bogus fines and even fixed up my garden area. No questions asked. I didn't gloat. I just told them the truth. If you treated people with respect, you never would have lost. Funny how a little humility costs nothing, but arrogance can bankrupt an entire board. Then share your thoughts in the comments, but no one liked or subscribed.